Welcome back to TC Talk Sports. You know what it is, all sports, all the time. NFL Week 2 officially in the books. So here's your Week 2 recap. Started Thursday night, a divisional matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. A lot of storylines, big storyline from this game. Tua, another serious head injury, this time caused by Damar Hamlin, of all people, of course. I'm not going to show the video of it. I'll let Twitter take care of that for you. But possible plans of a lot of people saying Tua should retire after that hit. He said he doesn't have a plan to retire, but he'll definitely be out a couple weeks dealing with that injury. But game-wise, Bills dominated this one from start to finish. Josh Allen, a big week 1. Not so much in this game. Finished 13 for 19, 139 passing yards and a passing touchdown. He only ran the ball 2 times for 2 yards, which is abnormal for him. But it was James Cook who did most of the work for Buffalo. 78 yards, 3 total touchdowns in this one. He was the go-to guy. Last video I said Josh Allen spread the ball around a lot, and he probably won't do that the rest of the season. Well, he did that now in back-to-back weeks. 9 different receivers with a target in this one. Tua got injured, but before that, 145 yards, did have a passing touchdown, threw 3 interceptions, including a pick 6. One wasn't really his fault. One was a god-awful throw. I'll show the video of that. Not a good throw. The injury, of course, put him out of the game. Skylar Thompson had to come in and finish the game for Miami. But on the bright side for the Dolphins, Devon Achane, 22 carries, 96 rushing yards, and get this, 7 receptions for 69 yards and a receiving touchdown. Achane definitely the defined number 1 option, at least out of the backfield for Miami. We'll see how that changes or stays the same with Skylar Thompson under center now for Miami. Buffalo improves to 2-0 with a 31-10 win over the Dolphins. I have the Dolphins winning that division in a futures parlay, of course, so low-key kind of got to root for Skylar Thompson. Sunday, Raiders versus Ravens. Ravens a heavy favorite in this game, expected to win, and they had the lead for pretty much all of this game until the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter. Gardner Minshew in this one, 30 for 38, 276 yards, did have a passing touchdown and 1 interception. Lamar, not too much going for him. Isaiah Likely, a lot of people picked him up in fantasy, like myself, expecting a repeat of week 1. That was not the case. He only had 3 targets, brought in 2 of those for 26 yards. PPR, that's 4.6 points. Not a great look on the waiver wire after week 1 for him. Zay Flowers kind of bloomed into that number 1 guy for Baltimore. 7 catches, 91 yards, and had a touchdown, his first touchdown of the season. And believe it or not, it might be snowing in hell. Justin Tucker missed a field goal. It was 56 yards, but he's the best football player of all time. Kind of shocking to see from him. But on the Raiders side, Devontae Adams had the game that he said he was going to have against the Chargers, but he didn't. In this one, he had 9 catches, 110 yards, and that touchdown for the Raiders. Biggest play of the game by far. And rookie Brock Bowers, the tight end, 9 catches, 98 yards. His best game of the season so far. Obviously, only week 2. And Daniel Carlson, the game-winning field goal with 27 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Raiders sneak away with a win, 26-23. They go to 1-1. The Ravens 0-2 to start the season. Cleveland versus Jacksonville. This game was god-awful. Deshaun Watson, not terrible though, 186 passing yards and had 20 rushing yards and the first touchdown of the game. Rushing touchdown for him. His passing yard line was 211 yards. I took the under because he sucks. That still hit. And something we didn't see too much, he spread the ball around the field. 9 different receivers with a reception in this one for Cleveland. I mean, Jacksonville, not a good start to the season. Trevor Lawrence robbing the Jaguars with that big contract that he signed in the offseason. He went 14 for 30, 220 yards, and he just looked terrible in this game. Brian Thomas might be the number 1 receiver in that offense, the rookie from LSU. Only had 2 catches for 94 yards, but he had a good week 1 with a touchdown. There's some talent on that offensive side. They just can't mesh together and play well. Another storyline for the Browns. I'm trying to find the backup to Jerome Ford or possibly maybe the starter. In this case, Deontay Foreman had 14 carries, only 42 yards, but doubling Jerome Ford's 7 carries in this one. A little concerning for fantasy owners of Jerome Ford. Finished with 7 carries, had 64 yards. He's a big playmaker for him. It would be nice to see him get more use, but just a little different approach for Cleveland in this game with Foreman getting 14 carries. The play of the game in the fourth quarter, with 1:56 left in the fourth quarter, Browns punting, got the ball to bounce out of bounds at the Jacksonville 2-yard line, and of course, too much to handle for Lawrence. Browns come away with the 18-13 win, go to 1-1. Jaguars now 0-2. Jets, Titans. This might be the way the season goes for the Titans. Another close game, a game that was definitely in their grasp but couldn't finish off strong. Breece Hall, 117 total yards, 1 receiving touchdown. That's now back-to-back weeks with a receiving touchdown for Hall. But we also saw a lot of work out of Braylon Allen, the rookie out of Wisconsin. 7 carries, 56 total yards, his first touchdown of his career, and then he added a second one later on in the game. Will Levis, another game under pressure, struggle for him. 192 passing yards for Will Levis. Did have a touchdown, but he did throw an interception, and we were blessed with another Will Levis meme, a funny-looking play from him. Tony Pollard, last video I said him and Spears would probably split carries throughout the year, but at least through 2 weeks it was clear that Pollard's going to be that certified number 1 back for the Titans. He had 17 carries, 102 total yards. Tajay Spears, only 6 carries in this game. And we finally saw some action out of newly acquired Calvin Ridley. Finished with 4 catches, 77 yards, and a receiving touchdown. That was Levis's only touchdown of the game. And Ridley also a carry, which he did score from 10 yards out. 2 touchdowns for Ridley. Looked a little more active than that week 1 game for the Titans. Jets defense, again, pressuring Will Levis. 4 total sacks, an interception, and a fumble recovery. Disaster of a game for the Titans. They did keep it close somehow, but losing this one 24-17. Titans go to 0-2. Jets now 1-1. Aaron Rodgers, solid game. Nothing flashy, but he got the job done. Jets go into Tennessee and get the win. 49ers, Vikings, one of the more exciting games of week 2. Brock Purdy went 28 for 36, 319 yards, but only a touchdown. And threw an interception, which he doesn't do too often. But the Vikings defense through 2 weeks looking pretty solid. Jordan Mason, 20 carries for exactly 100 yards and found the end zone in back-to-back games. He had 28 carries last week, obviously with McCaffrey out. Up to 6 weeks, he's going to be that main guy. 48 total carries through 2 games for Jordan Mason. Deebo Samuel was the number 1 receiver in this game for San Francisco. 8 receptions, 110 yards. George Kittle doing more than blocking this game. 7 catches, 76 yards, and found the end zone for the first time this season. But it was all Minnesota. Sam Darnold, a lot of people calling him the MVP front runner right now. That's a little bit crazy. We got to pump the brakes on that one. But he did go 17 for 26, 268 yards, and 2 passing touchdowns. One of those touchdowns, a 97-yard bomb to Justin Jefferson for his lone score of the game. He finished with only 4 catches, 133 yards, obviously 97 of those coming on that big touchdown play. He did get hurt and left the game, but for fantasy owners and Vikings fans, he left the game, but they determined it was pretty much just cramping, so he should be a good to go for week 3. Aaron Jones also getting injured, but Ty Chandler, the backup running back, looked good. 10 carries and 82 yards for him. And again, it was the Minnesota defense, 6 sacks, 1 interception, and 1 fumble recovery for the Vikings on defense. A great game from Minnesota, 23-17 over the 49ers. Vikings go to 2-0. 49ers fall to 1-1. Seahawks, Patriots, 2 teams that can't really tell what they're going to look like this season through those week 1 matchups. But Patriots, I said they might not win another game all year, but this was a tough, close game versus the Seahawks in week 2. Not too much craziness for the Patriots offense. Brissett having a decent game. Ramondre Stevenson, 21 carries, 81 yards for a touchdown. And we saw a little more work out of Antonio Gibson, the former Washington Commanders running back. He finished with 11 carries and 96 yards. But the big guy on offense for New England was tight end Hunter Henry. He was all over the field, 8 catches, 109 yards. Couldn't polish that off with a touchdown, but still a great game for him. Rookie out of Washington, wide receiver Jalen Polk found the end zone for his first time in his career. 2 catches, 12 yards. Seahawks offense did what the Bengals should have done week 1. Geno Smith, 33 for 44, 327 passing yards and 1 touchdown. Zach Charbonnet, a lot of people picking him up for fantasy after Kenneth Walker got hurt and missed this game, of course. 14 carries, only 38 yards, but did have a rushing touchdown. He was the only running back with a carry in that game. Geno Smith had a couple carries, but all of the workload handoffs went to Charbonnet. DK Metcalf, 10 catches, 129 yards, and a 56-yard touchdown early on in the game. His celebration seemed cool. I don't know what it meant, but some sort of history involved there, but cool celebration with the New England Patriot. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I don't know if I said it in the last video, but I have him over 1,000 yards this season. He went off in this game, 12 catches for 117 yards, proving to be that number 2 wide receiver. Tyler Lockett getting up there in age. He had a couple targets, a couple catches, but DK is the certified number 1, and I think JSN is going to be that number 2 as the season progresses. Jason Myers, game-tying field goal with 55 seconds left in the fourth quarter. This one went to overtime, and he was the hero in this one. A game-winning field goal in overtime. Seahawks take down the Patriots 23-20. Seahawks now 2-0. The Saints and the Dallas Cowboys. Man, the Dallas haters absolutely loved this game. The Saints putting up 44 points. That's now 91 total this season after dropping a 47 bomb on Carolina last week. And it was, if there's no words to describe Alvin Kamara, I think he reminded people that he is one of the best running backs in the entire NFL, running, catching. He can do it all. In this one, he had 20 carries for 115 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. His last one was just ridiculous. A run towards left tackle. There was 15 people. Yes, I counted 15 people in that bunch, and he somehow escapes and got into the end zone for another touchdown. He had 4 total, caught 2 passes for 65 yards and a receiving touchdown. Of course, I played against him in fantasy and got smoked this week, obviously. But Derek Carr, another safe game for him. 11 for 16, 243 yards, 2 passing touchdowns totaled. Rashid Shaheed, I don't know where he came from, but 4 catches, 96 yards, and another long touchdown for him. So Carr, he's got the dump-offs to Alvin Kamara. He's got Chris Olave out there, had a decent game, better than week 1 for sure. And then he has that deep down-the-field threat with Shaheed. Another touchdown for him. Cowboys side, Dak throwing the ball a lot, obviously playing from behind, down 2 or more scores the entire game. 27 for 39, 293 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But, I mean, can't put the blame on him because their defense got absolutely torched. Coming into the season, I was thinking Dak was going to have an MVP-type season, CD over 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns at least. I still think that can happen. The Cowboys just need to get it together because they have talent on both sides of the ball. I also took them to win the NFC East as well. They're 1-1 now, but not too concerned about that. Jalen Tolbert could be that number 2 guy. Brandon Cooks, also another older receiver. Tolbert finished with 6 catches for 82 yards. CD only 4 catches in this game, but did find the end zone, which I know a lot of touchdown score bettors were happy about. But at the end of the day, the Saints dominated the Cowboys 44-19. Saints now 2-0 atop of the division, tied with the Buccaneers. Cowboys now 1-1. The New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. I mean, this was a good game. And, of course, it was just a Giants type of game. Fans, if there are any left, Had to be very disappointed after this one. I'll tell you why in a second. But positive out of Daniel Jones, 16 for 28 passing, 178 yards, threw 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That's refreshing for Giants, especially after that very disappointing week 1 and pretty much his whole career. He also ran the ball 5 times for 35 yards. Devin Singletary got involved heavily in this one, 16 carries, 95 yards. Found the end zone for the first time this year. He did fumble, but a solid game overall for Singletary. And another bright spot for the Giants, rookie Malik Nabers, 10 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. A great second career game for the rookie out of LSU. Big storyline in this one, Giants kicker Graham Gano got injured, so Jamie Gilligan took over the kicking duties. He had 1 shot on an extra point, and he missed, so they didn't trust to go to him for the rest of the game, which proved to be huge. In the fourth quarter, Malik Nabers was that guy all game long. It was a 4th down situation, definitely in field goal range, especially for Graham Gano, a veteran NFL kicker. Would have been about a 40-something yard field goal. Little out route to Malik Nabers. Definitely should have caught it, dropped it. Turnover on downs, and that basically solidified the game. Commanders put up 21 points, which seems like 3 touchdowns, 3 extra points, but that was not the case. But before that, Jaden Daniels, a good second game as well. 23 for 29, 226 through the air, ran the ball a couple times, but most of the running done by Brian Robinson. 17 carries, 133 total rushing yards. And here's the kicker, no pun intended. Austin Seibert, the kicker for the Washington Commanders, 7 for 7 on field goals in this game. Had the game-winning field goal as time expired in the fourth quarter. Commanders win 21-18, and the Giants made history in this one. Coming into this game, NFL teams were 1,132-0 when scoring 3 or more touchdowns than their opponent. Commanders scored 0 touchdowns, made 7 field goals, and still won this game 21-18. Giants pathetically dropped to 0-2. Commanders now 1-1. Buccaneers and Lions, this was a game a lot of people had their eyes on. The Lions, 7.5-point favorites going into this one at home, of course, coming off that overtime win versus the Rams in week 1. A lot of action in this one. Baker Mayfield had a beautiful first game. Not as impressive in this one. Had 185 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. Did throw an interception. He was under a lot of pressure by that Lions defense. Aiden Hutchinson, 5 sacks in this game. He was in Baker's face all game long. But Baker, probably the highlight of the game, on a sweet run to get down towards the red zone for the Buccaneers. And then he punched it in with a rushing touchdown. Probably the play of the game for the Buccaneers. Chris Godwin, 7 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown for him, blowing Mike Evans out of the water. All other receivers, honestly. Godwin, another huge game for the Buccaneers. On the Lions side, they put up offensive numbers but just couldn't score the ball. Goff, 34 for 55. He threw the ball 55 times, 307 total yards. Did throw 2 interceptions in this one. Didn't have a passing touchdown. Most of that passing going to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Fantasy owners rejoiced in this game. Didn't score a touchdown, but finished with 11 catches, 119 yards receiving for him. Jamison Williams, a guy I said last video is going to have over 1,000 receiving yards this year, put up 5 catches for 79 yards in this game, and a big play downfield early on in the game to set the tone for him. The 2-headed monster in the backfield for Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs, 13 carries, 84 yards. Jordan Montgomery, this time only 11 carries for 35 yards, but did have a rushing touchdown. Close game, great game. Bucs, heavy underdog, come out as victorious, 20-16 in Detroit. Buccaneers now 2-0, tied for first place in the NFC South with the Saints. Detroit dropping to 1-1. Colts-Packers, week 1. Colts dropped a tough one to the Texans. A weird game from Anthony Richardson in that one. A weird game from Anthony Richardson in this one versus Green Bay. In Green Bay, a lot of overrated tweets and statements coming out now. AR, 17 for 34, 204 passing yards in this game. Did have a passing touchdown, but 3 interceptions for Richardson. Jonathan Taylor is going to be that number one offensive option for the Colts this season. 135 total yards. Alec Pierce looking like the number one wide receiver for the Colts. I thought Michael Pittman would have at least 1,000 yards this year, and I bet I have him for 1,200. That's not looking great. Alec Pierce, 5 catches for 56 yards, and his second touchdown of the season. In this one, Malik Willis at the helm for the Packers after Jordan Love's Week 1 injury, expected to miss a couple weeks. But a positive sign for Packers fans. Willis, a safe game, 12 for 14 throwing the ball, 122 yards, had a passing touchdown to Dontavian Wicks. Didn't turn the ball over. He also had 6 carries for 41 yards, something he did a lot in college and definitely capable of doing in the NFL. Josh Jacobs, heavy workload for him this week, 32 carries, but 151 rushing yards, a good game for Jacobs, a good second game on his new team in the Green Bay Packers. Another rough game for the Colts. They lose 16-10. Colts now 0-2. Packers go to 1-1. Rams and Cardinals. I saw this line. Rams were underdogs. There's basically a pick 'em in this one. I had some money on Rams money line. I think he could at least be close, and that was not the case. The Cardinals, a good Week 1 performance versus the Bills. They didn't win that game. A lot of, controversy surrounding Marvin Harrison Jr. Only had 2 or 3 catches, whatever it was, in Week 1. He only had 4 catches in this game, but he had 130 receiving yards and scored twice. All 4 catches were spectacular, honestly, for Harrison. Kyler Murray, 17 for 21, 266 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Little boy was scrambling too, 5 carries for 59 rushing yards. And the running game worked fabulously for the Cardinals. James Conner, 21 carries, 122 yards, and scoring a touchdown once again. James Conner just doing James Conner things. Trey Benson, 11 carries in this game as well for Arizona. McBride for the Cardinals. Coming into the season, a lot of people expected a big year for him. His best game of the season so far, 6 catches, 67 yards. But that Arizona defense, 5 sacks and a fumble recovery, they looked really good in this game. Can't lie about that. More than half of the Rams roster is injured, and they added another name to that list in Cooper Kupp. He had 4 catches before he went down with an injury and left the game. He's expected to be out a couple weeks as well, but 8 different receivers with a catch for the LA Rams. But Cardinals win this one 41-10. They go to 1-1. Rams drop to 0-2. Not a good sign here for Rams fans. Steelers in Denver. Knew this would be a low-scoring game all week. I said take the under, take the under. I did not take the under. It was a boring game, to be honest. But Justin Fields, again, getting the start, and it's looking like he could possibly have that starting quarterback position locked down, even with Russell Wilson coming back from injury. 13 for 20, 117 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Again, no interceptions for him. A couple guys catching a couple passes. Darnell Washington scored the touchdown for the Steelers. He had 6 catches last year or something, but found the end zone. Bo Nix, 20 for 35, 246 total yards, 0 touchdowns, threw 2 interceptions. If you thought Bo Nix was going to be a good NFL starter, you were crazy. And through 2 weeks, we've seen that he has not been that so far. I mean, it's early on in the season to judge, but me personally, I just don't think he will become anything in the NFL. Steelers win this one 13-6. Go to 2-0 on the season. Broncos 0-2. Steelers next game, Week 3, home opener versus the LA Chargers. I might be at that game. Might get a little rowdy. Probably will be low scoring. I bet it'll be a 1-possession game either way. I believe the Steelers open up as a 1-point favorite at home. Jim Harbaugh, he's ready for it. He said this game we're going to see what we're made of. It's going to be a very physical game. Running the ball on the defensive lines, Joe Alt, big task with J.J. Watt. Whoever he's blocking, it's going to be an interesting matchup there. between the Chargers and the Steelers. Chargers week 2 playing the Carolina Panthers. Chargers fans, this game is kind of scary. This is the type of game where they don't usually blow out teams or win by more than one score, but that was not the case. A blowout win for the Chargers in week 2 in Carolina. Justin Herbert, a scary looking injury, kind of concerning for Chargers fans. He did come back in the game. He finished strong, but he's played with injuries in the past. This one a little concerning, especially because the season has started out so well for the Chargers, and it's very exciting for the fans to see this team play like this. Another low-passing game for Herbert, though. Again, the game was played on the ground. J.K. Dobbins, over 100 rushing yards once again, found the end zone, flipping into the end zone. Surprised he didn't get hurt, but when he's healthy, he is an electric player, and through 2 weeks of the 2024 season, we have seen that. Quentin Johnston, hallelujah, something we haven't seen. Not a big game, but a very good game for him. Couple catches, about 50 receiving yards, and he scored a touchdown, not once, but twice in this game. Keep using the word refreshing, but this is something new and very exciting for Chargers fans. Quentin Johnston getting involved in the passing game, scoring 2 touchdowns. Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt on the outside of that offensive line played great. Joey Bosa, another solid game on defense. They look good. Bryce Young did not. He might be, as of right now, Daniel Jones played well in week 2. Bryce Young, I think, at the bottom of the list for quarterbacks. He played terrible. Supposedly he's getting benched next week for the veteran Andy Dalton, which might not be a bad thing. Learn from the veteran. A lot of experience for Dalton, but the Panthers were just embarrassing this week. Herbert, a bad interception. Don't really know why he even threw that ball. But other than that, pretty clean game for the Chargers to come away with the win in week 2. 2 undefeated teams, Chargers and Steelers, 2-0. Week 3 in Pittsburgh. It's going to be a tough one. Super excited for it. Bolt up, baby. Bengals and Chiefs. Everyone knew this was going to be a good game coming into it. Joe Burrow, a good record versus Pat Mahomes, and coming off, frankly, a super disappointing, very embarrassing week 1 loss versus the Patriots. This one kind of back and forth all game. Joe Burrow finished 23 for 36, 258 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Mike Gesicki, the number 1 guy for the Bengals, 7 receptions, 91 yards. Jamar Chase, 4 catches for 35 yards, got hit with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Frustrations are definitely building for Chase this season. Had problems in the offseason with contract talks. Jamar, if you want to come to the Chargers, I think they would be more than happy to take you there. Just saying. On the Chiefs side, Mahomes, not a great game. 18 for 25, only 151 passing yards. Did have 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, though. There was a lot of talk before the game of Xavier Worthy just being able to run in a straight line. And the corner that was talking all that heat came away with, right now, is the interception of the year for the Bengals. It was absolutely disgusting. I mean, look at that. Isaiah Pacheco, big storyline for KC, 19 carries, 5 receptions, 111 total yards. He did leave the game with an injury, left the stadium on crutches. He is out for multiple weeks. Samaje Perine, the veteran running back, as of right now is the starter, and there was talks of the Chiefs going after former Chiefs running back Kareem Hunt. He did really well for the Chiefs when he was there, and for the Browns, frankly. A touchdown machine at some points in his career. But, of course, the Chiefs, their love relationship with the refs seemingly bailing the Chiefs out once again. It was Mahomes, a deep pass down the field, a defensive pass interference called, automatic first down, obviously, for the Chiefs, and then Harrison Butker, game-winning 51-yard field goal as time expired. Chiefs win this one 26-20. Bengals now 0-2, not a great spot to be in the AFC North, where that division is going to be tight all season long. Chiefs go to 2-0. Surprise, surprise. First place in the AFC West, but they are tied with the Chargers. Bears-Texans. This game was a lot closer than it should have been if you're watching it on Sunday Night Football. Caleb Williams, 23 for 37, 174 total yards. Still has yet to throw a passing touchdown and 2 interceptions. My thing with him is he's been doing well with escaping pressure, getting out of the pocket, trying to make something happen with his legs, and then he just throws terrible passes. And that was stuff that he could do at USC, bomb it down the field for big plays, but that's not working so far in the NFL. And as of right now, this number 1 overall pick is not panning out to be what Bears fans thought he would be. Again, it's only week 2, but not a great start for Caleb Williams. Defense didn't play terrible in this game, obviously only holding the Texans to 19 points, who have a very explosive offense. And the explosive player in this game was Nico Collins, 8 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown. And a sick moment for him. He got called for a penalty, and then he comes back with a touchdown, gets in the end zone and says, "Get off me," to his defender. Huge game for him. Stroud, a decent game for him. A safe game, we'll say, 23 for 36, 260 passing yards, and that 1 touchdown to Nico Collins. Concerning moment in the game for Texans fans, Joe Mixon, who had a huge game week 1. He went out with an injury, went in the tent, went to the locker room. You saw camera shots of him riding the stationary bike on the sideline. He did come back into the game. He seems to be fine going forward, but of course they're going to monitor that injury for the Texans. Texans defense, the MVP of this game, 7 sacks, and of course those 2 interceptions on Caleb Williams. But maybe the actual MVP, Kaimi Fairbairn, the Texans kicker, 4 for 4 on field goals. He made a 56-yarder, a 47-yarder, a 59-yard field goal, and a 53-yard field goal. Won me my matchup in one of my fantasy leagues this week with the help of Joe Mixon missing some game time. But that defense and Fairbairn helping the Texans pull away, improve to 2-0, winning 19-13. Bears now 1-1, Texans 2-0. Then we get to Monday Night Football. What a game in Philadelphia. Jason Kelce hopping on the broadcast for a few drives. Kirk Cousins, a much better game, much improved from week 1 versus the Steelers. He was under a lot of pressure in that game. Still under some in this game, but a vintage Kirk Cousins performance. 20 for 29, 241 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and didn't throw an interception. He did in week 1 versus the Steelers. He threw 2. This week, a clean game from him. Bijan Robinson, again, proving he's that number 1 offensive threat in that offense. 122 total yards. Drake London, who I expected to have 1,000-plus receiving yards this season. 6 catches, only 54 yards, but one of those catches proved to be huge. He scored that touchdown late in the fourth quarter for Atlanta. Atlanta was down 21-15 with 1:39 left in the game. Kirk O'Chains drove him right down the field on 6 plays, a 1-minute long drive, capping it off with that Drake London touchdown, his first of the season. Jalen Hurts, 183 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception at the end of the game to solidify the win for Atlanta. He did have 85 rushing yards and scored on the classic tush push once again near the goal line. Saquon Barkley, another huge game. I expect nothing different from him throughout the season. 116 total yards, but on Monday Night Football, the Atlanta Falcons shocking the 5.5-point favorite Philadelphia Eagles. Falcons winning 22-21 to end a great week 2 of NFL football. And that is your NFL week 2 recap. Big storylines, a lot of injuries. Cooper Kupp, Isaiah Pacheco missing time. Amon-Ra St. Brown got hurt, but he did finish the game. Justin Jefferson got hurt, but they kind of just marked that up as cramping. Joe Mixon getting hurt for the Texans. Left the game, but did come back. He should be fine. But a lot of injuries around the league. A couple upsets, a lot of underdogs winning this week. My big performance was the Cardinals winning 41-10 over the LA Rams. And, of course, the Falcons' big upset Monday Night Football versus the Eagles. Good matchups going into week 3. Chargers, Steelers. That's going to be an exciting one. My fantasy leagues and betting have struggled through these first 2 weeks of the NFL season. Lost Survivor week 1 because of the stupid Cincinnati Bengals, but it's a long season. Chargers, great start for them. 2-0, first time being 2-0 since 2012. Might not seem like a long time ago, but that was 12 years ago, everybody. But hey, NFL football is back, an exciting time of the year. It's only week 2, and we had a lot of storylines produced so far. A lot of guys having breakout years already. A lot of guys struggling early on in the season. If you missed any of the week 2 or even week 1 action, you come to this YouTube page, TC Talk Sports. We'll have some quick recaps for you. Like, share, and subscribe this channel. We got all sports all the time. Follow the TikTok, TC Talk Sports. We got different kinds of content on there for you. Give that TikTok page a follow. Week 2 NFL officially in the books. We move on to NFL Week 3. Hopefully the Chargers go 3-0.